A quick heads up before you start. This story is not mine. It was written by Voldyne by the name No You Go First. Please check him out if you want to see and read the story. Now enjoy.
Me know. Slim young man with brunette hair and far too many freckles, wearing a green tunic and a bearskin vest, opens the door to a large long house and notices his father sitting by the fireplace. Quietly he makes his way to the stairs and starts climbing up to his loft bedroom. He is 5 stairs up before his dad stops him. Hiccup, I need to talk to you. Stoik the Vast is the leader of the hairy hooligans. They inhabited a miserable island called Berk. As Vikings, the idea of moving never crossed anyone's mind. Stoik is 6.5 feet tall and about 4 feet around, wearing an overly large green tunic with some dragon scale armor hanging off a thick leather belt. The buckle to his belt and the clasps for his bearskin coat were decoratively carved with likenesses of dragons. Hiccup cringed. Freedom was only a few feet away. Damn his super hearing. I need to talk to you too, Dad. Hiccup climbs down a few steps and quickly thinks of a way to word it. I decided I don't want to fight dragons, and simultaneously Stoik says, I decided to let you fight dragons. The two of them stop and stare at each other before asking, wait, what? You first, Hiccup said, but Stoik declined. No, you go first, he said with a slight smile. Hiccup was silent for a moment. You're right, Dad. I'm not a dragon-slaying Viking. I should stop kidding myself. Hiccup looks dejected, but continues. I will start staying indoors during raids and do whatever you think is best. Hiccup finished with a sigh. Oh, Stoik was shocked and panicked slightly. He was all set to send Hiccup to dragon training. It would keep him safe, safer than being left alone in the blacksmith's shop, but now it would seem cruel. Well, have you thought about what you would like to do then? Stoik asked, still trying to find a way to salvage his friend's plan. Well, I thought I could just be Gobba's apprentice and learn to be a blacksmith. Hiccup smiled at the thought. He could still invent. He would just have to find something other than dragon-killing devices. We will always need a blacksmith. And if I can't kill dragons, then maybe I could keep the weapons in good condition for those that do. After what happened in the forest, it was probably safer to stay indoors. Well, have you maybe thought of shadowing me? You know, for when you become chief, Stoik asked seriously. Hiccup blinked owlishly and then shook his head. I don't know if I would make a good chief, Dad. I figured you would want someone, you know, less like this. He gestured to himself like Snotlout. I mean, he has Haddock blood, and he's a lot stronger. And the other Vikings don't think he's useless. Hiccup shrugged and then noticed Stoik's scowl. You are not useless, son, never think that. Snotlout would not make a good chief. Yes, he is strong, but honestly he is not very bright. Stoik smiled and Hiccup snickered. You are intelligent, son. And the village needs someone smart to lead. Life isn't always about killing dragons. I know I can be hard on you, but I just wanted you to see that there is more than killing dragons. Stoik was using a rare tone of voice, not one of a chief, or a father scolding his child. No, he was using a tone reserved for advice. I am proud of you, son. Not only are you realizing what you're not meant to do, but you're also putting the good of the village before yourself. After I get back, if you would like, you can start shadowing me, and if you and I both find that you are not suited, you can help me find someone who is. Stoik was genuinely proud of his son, and he realized that Gobba's plan would still work. He would just make a slight modification. But Dad, the only other Haddock is Snotlout. Hiccup asked, slightly bewildered. The Haddocks are an old line, it's true, but we weren't always the chief, son. Sometimes it has to be passed on, either due to failure or death. If it comes to that, we will look to the elder families, or for a match for you with the elder house. There are no laws in Berk that say women cannot lead. Stoik laughed as Hiccup's face paled. Springing marriage on him would be an incentive for him to do well, or so Stoik hoped. I am sure you will do fine, son. Now while I am gone, I want you to shadow Gobba. He is going to be training new recruits in the kill ring. Stoic put hand on Hiccup's shoulder while Hiccup was shaking his head. Don't worry, son. You're going to assist him, not fight the dragons. You will learn a little about how we fight dragons, but don't worry, you'll be safe, Stoic said with a smile. Deal. Hiccup did not look convinced, but he was amazed that he just had a conversation with his dad where he wasn't being yelled at, so he simply said deal and smiled. Good. Stoic went to the fireplace and picked up his helmet and provisions before walking to the door. I'll be back, probably, he said, looking back at his son, who smiled and responded. And I will be here. Maybe Hiccup was hoping this wasn't a dream, and he actually did have a conversation with his dad where his dad was proud of him. Wait, Dad. Stoic stopped at the door and looked back to his son. What is it, Hiccup? Stoic was glad he was chief. They were supposed to leave soon, and at this rate he would be late. Hiccup looked unsure, but made up his mind. Can I come to the docks to see you off? Like you do when the fishermen leave, Hiccup asks, his tone unsure. Stoic smiles at the thought and nods. Of course, son. Head down to the docks and I will meet you there. I need to speak to Gobber. Stoic needed to inform him that he would be down a trainee and up an assistant. Hiccup followed behind Stoic, shutting the door to the lodge before heading for the docks, while Stoic headed in the direction of the forge. Gobber the Belch is the master blacksmith for Burke, and long-time friend of Stoic the Vast. He was roughly the same height as Stoic, and nearly as round, but whereas Stoic had all his limbs, Gobber was missing his right arm just below the elbow, and his left leg just below the knee. He kept his blonde hair very short, as working in a forge with long hair is asking for disaster. However, he maintains a large mustache with evidence of burns throughout it. He was working on some repairs when Stoic came in and didn't notice him until Stoic cleared his throat. Noting the odd smile on Stoic's face, Gobber immediately set the workpiece down and made his way to his friend. You look like you found the nest already, Stoic. What's up? Gobber asked with a chuckle. Stoic shakes his head and sets down the basket of provisions. It's Hiccup. Gobber sighs. What did the lad do now? Looking over at Stoic. Or have you changed your mind about our plan? Cause I think that would be a bad. Stoic raises his hand to silence his friend. No, he changed our plan for us. He came to me and told me that he was going to stop his antics about killing dragons. You should have seen him. It was so not Hiccup. Stoic was visibly excited. So excited he was practically vibrating. I asked him what he wanted to do, and he offered to stay as your apprentice. Even said that he didn't think he would make a good chief. Gobber scoffed at that but remained silent. He was thinking about the village. Gobber. He may not be strong, but maybe now I can get him to focus. The strange smile returned to Stoic's features, and he sighed contently. Gobber smiled at his friend. The change he noted was amazing. You don't buy that, not making a good chief bit, do you? Boy's intelligent. Some of those inventions amaze even me, and I have been making stuff for nearly 20 years. Gobber fiddled with his prosthetic while waiting for Stoic's response. Stoic shakes his head and laughs. The boy is smart. Like I said, maybe now I can teach him what the chief really does. Killing dragons is only one thing, but I made him a deal. A mischievous grin appears on Stoic's face. Another facial expression that had not been seen since Stoic was a child terrorizing his future wife. I told him when I got back he could shadow me, and that if we both decided he was unfit, we would find someone suitable. Stoic waves away Gobber's concerned expression. We would find a suitable someone for him to marry. Stoic let out a hearty laugh, and Gobber joined him. Adding some incentive for him to do well. Are you? Gobber's laugh trailed off, and he rubbed his chin. Wait, the only elder family that still has an unwed girl is the Horfusons. You might not want to tell Hiccup that. Gobber started to chuckle again, and Stoic raised an inquisitive eyebrow. Why? I thought that would make him more likely to want to succeed. Stoic's plan may unravel here, and now if he doesn't have significant leverage. Have you seen the way he looks at her? I mean, the teens seem to be oblivious. But if you catch him staring out the window, you can bet Astrid is on the other side. Gobber smiled. Although if you arrange a marriage, or start asking about a contract, and just happen to let Astrid overhear it, I'm sure she will give Hiccup even more incentive. Stoic eyes light up and he smiles again. Well, I hope it doesn't come to that, but it is a thought. Anyway, the reason I came here was to tell you that Hiccup obviously won't be one of the trainees, and Gobber growled. And that leaves us back at square one. Stoic huffed and Gobber fell silent. He won't be one of the trainees, but he will be assisting you. Have him help you. I don't know, set up the maze, or feed the dragons and clean the pens. As long as you're there and can give him something to do, he should be fine. If he seems to waver, just tell him a good chief knows how his villagers are trained. Gobber nodded and Stoic reclaimed his provisions and grunted a goodbye before he made his way out. The trip to the docks was short and Stoic found Hiccup standing beside his grandmother Hydron the Elder, a grey-haired, squat old woman who had trouble walking and barely bothered to open her eyes. She leaned heavily on an ornate-looking staff. They were talking quietly until they noticed Stoic. Hiccup lent his arm to his grandmother, and they made their way to Stoic. Both adults had to smile. He may be a klutz, but he was still a gentleman. You didn't do too bad with this one, Stoic. Hydron smiled. Hiccup blushed slightly, and Stoic laughed. It was mostly Val. I have been fumbling around in the dark, Stoic said with a smile before patting his son on the shoulder lightly. Light for Hiccup nearly sent him to the ground. Hiccup tells me that he has given up on his foolish notion of dragon fighting. She looks over to her grandson and waves away the sad look on Hiccup's face. You are too smart for all that, boy. You could make a great chief someday. But you, Hydron turns and points at Stoic. You need to find him a good woman. Someone strong who can watch his back. Hiccup groans and Hydron laughs softly. Soon the ships are ready to launch and Stoic explains to Hiccup what their plan is and why it is important to the village. Then the elder grants her blessing for the voyage, and they say their goodbyes. As the three ships make their way out of the harbor, Stoic looks back to see both the elder and his son still on the docks watching. Stoic's strange smile returns, a smile of pride, one he hasn't worn since the death of his wife. Please let me know.